Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the quarterly update here from Platform Q Education. I'm Drew Miller, Director of College Partnerships, joined by my colleague and our Senior VP of Marketing, Gil Rogers. Gil, say hello.
Hey everybody, glad to be here.
Yeah, excited to chat a little bit today. Want to give you a brief overview of the evolution of online engagement and then some updates on the product as far as the Conduit roadmap looks like here in Q2 of 2019. I'll let Gil kind of jump in and talk a little bit about the evolution of online engagement, and we'll chat a little bit back and forth as we move. But take it away, Gil.
Great. Thanks so much, Drew, and thank you everybody for taking the time to view this webcast. Before we hop into anything to do with new enhancements and features and tools, I think it's always important to kind of get grounded and centered on the state of the industry and where we are today. So when we think about the past with respect to how institutions connected with students in schools, we know that 20 years ago or so there were limited number of providers that you would use to get your lists of students that you recruit through the process, and the results at the bottom of the funnel were somewhat predictive. We knew that if we needed to get X number of enrolled students, we could understand what our prior yield rates were and our prior conversion rates were. And we would know kind of just by doing some backwards algebra how many names we would need to buy from specific markets. But as we know, the industry has changed a lot over the past 15 years. Search continues to be a part of the process and will be for the foreseeable future. But the way that students and schools connect has continued to evolve. So while you can still get your lists from many of the main providers, there's also college search sites. There's also things like digital marketing, social media marketing, Common App, and all of these resources make it a little bit challenging to really keep students fully engaged throughout the process and know that you're covering all your bases. On top of this, we know that CRM systems have proliferated throughout the industry and the process, and the promise of those has been to make things easier and faster and save you time and effort. But what we've seen, and this is data from the U.S. Department of Education, is that over the past 15 years or so, yield has dropped by high as 50 percentage points. So the number of applications that an institution has to generate for one single enrollment has doubled over the past 15 years. And that says to us that you're doing double the amount of work for the same net result, which is really not sustainable. So when we build enhancements to the Conduit platform, it's always to the eye of how do we make things more effective and more for students and for schools, so that you're making the most of your time and not trying to squeeze water out of the rock and not trying to do more and making sure you're able to do more with less. Drew, I think it'd be good at also, before we hop into features and functionality, to talk a little bit about the student voice and the student perspective as well, right? Because I think when we think about the way that we are engaging with students, it's important to remember and understand that perspective, because that's really what should be driving a lot of our decision making. So, do you want to share some of your thoughts on the student perspective as well?
Yeah, and I really appreciate the way that you kind of framed it, because when you think about the way the internet has changed everything, it's changed the way that students engage and the way that students are able to conduct their search. So when you think about the way that students engage has changed, we need to think about how we evolve the way that we engage with students. So when we look at the data, we know that over 70% of students are watching videos from college. We know that EDU branded content is the most trusted source for college information when it comes to what a student is looking at and trusting to be an accurate resource for what they're learning about. And then the current students and admissions counselors are rated among the most influential of connections. If you think about it, it really comes down to that relationship that they connect with current student, admissions counselor when they visit. Whatever, that relationship is really what kind of carries them through the process. And if you think about Conduit, that's where we live, is in the center of those three kind of key areas, because students are looking for easy access and they're looking for immediate response. So when we think about Conduit and how it works today, it's really that student engagement strategy evolved from how things were 15, 20 years ago to recognizing the way that students engage has evolved. So we look at things like strategic consulting. We have a team that plans your event promotion, production, the entire execution, and then the reporting. All of this happens on a university branded platform via desktop, mobile, and social media. And of course, during a webcast or any other time as well, you have real-time engagement via Campus Connect, which is our chat tool. Anything you'd want to add to that, Gil?
No, I think the one thing I would add is that, when we're building out strategies for online events as part of our overarching plan, most institutions are pretty good at developing your travel calendar. Generally, what regions you want to send your reps to. You can find the high schools in those areas and set up visits and go to fairs. And we generally are pretty good at on-campus events and planning open houses, regional programs, regional receptions, those sorts of things. Where a lot of institutions struggle is building out an online plan that supplements and supports those efforts and really layers on the outcomes with, really truly supporting conversion and yield. So when you think about Conduit, it's not just the software platform that builds, the institutional branded environment like you're viewing this presentation in now, but it's also that strategic support wrapped around it that says, what are your deadlines? What are your strategic priorities? How do we build a plan that supports conversion and yield every step of the way? So, from a software perspective, that's one of the main differences between, and we've talked about this on past quarterly updates, and we've shared this a few times. But for those who might be viewing this for the first time, when we're comparing, Conduit as a platform against, one-off, tools and solutions, there's just a lot of different components that you don't get when you're trying to piece things together with a webinar platform and a chat platform and trying to organize it with your whole calendar. Whereas with Conduit, everything kind of comes out of the box, right? That strategic support, the event strategy and consulting, the streaming capabilities across multiple platforms, making it directly accessible and available, the institutional branded environment. These are all things that come along for the ride as part of the overall plan. So we wanted to make sure we covered that as part of as we get into what's new at Conduit, so that everybody's kind of centered and understanding, what's the state of the industry, what's the student voice, and where are we building off of as a platform and a service offering here at Platform Q. Right. So some key reminders as we go into this. We've talked about a couple of these product enhancements in past quarterly updates, but they're really important. So we want to make sure we mention them again, just to make sure that you're aware and reminded of some of the key enhancements that have come over the past year or so that weren't here before. Right. So one of the newest features that we developed and implemented last year is what we call enhanced simulcast, right? So what enhanced simulcast is it takes the ability for you to take your content that you're streaming on Conduit live and simulcast it not only on the Conduit platform, which is available on desktop and mobile, but also in strategic use cases, parse that off to go off to different social media platforms via Facebook Live, Twitter Live, via Periscope, and YouTube Live. So the opportunity here is to say, there might be some content that you're okay with not having the full visibility into every single student who attends the presentation, which is what you get on Conduit. But you want some visibility play. You want to raise some awareness, reach some people who may not have identified themselves to you and reached your inquiry pool, right? So this is a way to reach students on those platforms, leveraging your video content. And again, we think about things that many institutions are good at. It took us a while, but I think many schools are now at that point where social media generally is figured out. We have an advertising strategy that's tied to it and those sorts of things, but live video strategy on social is something that's still relatively new, and our team is happy to provide that guidance and support. The other piece that's important is GDPR compliance. Many of our partners work with us for international recruitment. So if you're not aware, last year in May, it was the deadline for web content to be GDPR compliant, which is the European Union privacy right to be forgotten type of rules and regulations. Very stringent, very important, and our team, proud to say, was we actually met the deadline and beat the deadline ahead of last year's NAFSA conference. So there's a link there on the slide that you can visit. You can go to platformqedu.com to read up on all of our documentation. But the key here is, if your international director or your IT department or whomever comes knocks on the door and says, hey, is this platform we're using GDPR compliant? You can give them a firm yes, and be protected in that respect. The same goes with ADA compliance. So, this is an area that's becoming more and more important when we think about online platforms being 508 compliant and accessible, right? So, if you're an institution that accepts public funding, which most are in that bucket, this is a very important piece of your strategy and your plan to make sure that all of your online content meets the appropriate guidelines. So we published our documentation for that as well. It's a voluntary documentation to be produced, but this is one of those, when you see the commercial, show me the Carfax when you're buying a used car. When you're looking at software platforms and software services, ask them to show you the VPAT, right? Because this is an opportunity for you to have that backup and documentation when accreditors come knocking and asking, is this investment compliant? You can show them the documentation and say yes. So again, platformqedu.com, scroll to the bottom or go to platformqedu.com/accessibility, and it gives you all the documentation that you would need there as well. So those are the important reminder and re-reminder updates of the things that have been coming over the past year or so. Drew, I'd love for you to share kind of some of the one of the newest updates on your end that I know you're excited about.
Yeah, thanks, Gil. I think one of my favorite pieces that I'm most excited about is the ability to provide not just the student, but the university a great experience when it comes to online events. When you think about it, it's all about the experience from the university side, from the student side, building that relationship together. So what we're introducing is full service, multi-channel online event marketing, the ability for you to do what you do best and allow us to take care of the rest. So when I think about my experience today, even preparing for this, I was completely set up by our production team. I clicked a link, I logged in and tested my mic and camera, and we were up and running in seconds. That's the kind of experience the university can expect. From the student side, it's clicking a link and hopping in immediately with no registration, no need to fill out a form, no need to download anything. This really helps to drive increased attendance to your live events. And one of the pieces that I'm most excited about. We also have a few other pieces to introduce as far as new product updates, and I want to hand it back to Gil to talk a little bit about those.
Awesome. Yeah. And I would add one piece to that, when we're thinking about the outcomes of your work, right? When we've run the numbers and we know that institutions that struggle with marketing, right? And again, it goes back to what I was talking about before with we're all really good at live event coordination, reserving the auditorium on campus for the open house, ordering the bagels from catering services, all those sorts of things. Where a lot of us kind of struggle is how do we integrate the online event marketing, pre-event, post-event, what types of tools to use during the event. That can be a little bit of a challenge if it's something that's new to you, right? So when we talked before about Conduit as a platform, if Conduit is not just the software platform for streaming of your live events and your live chats, it's that with this service wrapped around it to help with making sure that those events are successful. So when we know we're working with institutions that have struggled with event marketing in the past, we're able to, up to double the attendance of their live events with the combination of email, SMS, direct login links that are all part of the plan. So like Drew said, you do what you do best, show up with your smile and your slides. We do the rest from the pre-event marketing, live event production, and post-event marketing to drive as much outcomes as possible. So kind of dovetailing into that, one of the ways we make it easier for you to leverage these services is through a new tool called Content Uploader. So when you log into your Conduit dashboard, you'll see a new tab on the side for Content Uploader. And what Content Uploader allows you to do is transfer your segmented student lists, your collateral, your presentation slides safely and securely directly to our team, right? So now gone are the days of having to upload to a Dropbox or send a large PowerPoint file and then have it get kicked back by your institution servers because it's too big and have to figure that kind of stuff out, right? So what Content Uploader allows you to do is to just send a quick note with, hey, here's my slides for Thursday's presentation. It goes right to our team, so you don't have to worry about it, right? Same with the marketing plan for an event. if it's an admitted student event or an enrolling student event, you have your list segmented, your CSV file, a first name, last name, email, cell phone if they have opt-in for texting, CRM ID, which I'll get to in a couple minutes. You can load that to Content Uploader, and it immediately is sent to our team to use for the plans. One of the other things that you might notice when you log into the platform is in the lower right-hand corner, there's a new contact icon using our Campus Connect chat widget embedded into the dashboard itself. So what we've done is we've taken one of the tools that's available for you to embed on your website on various pages to collect inquiries from prospects and host live chats and host live chat events. We've embedded that on the Campus Connect. We've embedded Campus Connect on the Conduit dashboard to allow you to ask questions of our tech team, send us your ideas, send us your product suggestions and your feedback. That's how we're going to improve the platform as a service, is by getting your feedback. So when you're logged into the dashboard, if you have a question, you have a thought, click that contact icon, send us a note, and we'll be able to address it with our team, get it back to you. It's kind of like a suggestions box in your dashboard to be able to submit to our team. The final, newest enhancement, and this is something we recently announced, is what we call CRM Bridge. And CRM Bridge is arguably the most important update on this webcast today. What this allows you to do is seamlessly connect the data that you're getting from your Conduit events, engagement data, attribution data, content on what students are downloading, chat logs, everything that's happening on the Conduit platform, and immediately connect it after your event to the data in your CRM and having it be part of your CRM activity log. So in the past, your post-event reports would include all of that content and all of that information, but the challenge would be making sure that you're not creating duplicate records on your CRM side after the event. Now, pre-event, when you're sending us those lists via Content Uploader, your file that you send us, what we require for events has been and will always be first name, last name, email, cell phone if they have opt-in for texting. So when we're doing those pre-event marketing campaigns, we can include that. But now you can also send us the CRM ID. So whether you're using Slate, TargetX, Solution, any CRM in the space, when you export that file, use that student's unique ID. Now, post-event, when you get that report back, that file will have all of the engagement data and the CRM ID still appended to the side. So when you're going to load it back into your CRM post-event, you have that unique identifier to make sure there's no risk of creating duplicate records, and it goes right into the activity log. So great opportunity here to make sure that you're being as actionable with your data as possible, while not creating a bunch of problems for your CRM admins or whomever would be managing the data. So the final updates before we close up, sort of give you a little preview of what's coming down the roadmap. We like to put it in two buckets: a near-term bucket and a long-term bucket. Near term is we expect this to happen relatively soon. Long term is these are things on our roadmap. Use that suggestion box on the contact us box to provide us with your suggestions to help us determine what the next enhancements are, right? So in the near term, reporting enhancements, we're going to be implementing new on-demand reporting capabilities for you to be able to tailor some of those reports for yourself, as well as an updated standard layout for reports. So keep an eye out for those. We'll do a lot of communication before those happen to make sure that we're not breaking anything on your end. We're also working on a great opportunity for streamlined page templates. So this is really our next generation school pages. So when you think about the layout of your Conduit platform and what it looks like to a student when they're watching your video, clicking on your content, your ability to edit, manage, drag and drop on a page experience is coming as part of these enhancements, and it's going to be a great opportunity for additional branding, customization capabilities to really make your Conduit platform unique. Then, when we think about the long-term functionality, CRM Bridge is one piece. Full CRM integrations are another. So if you're interested in being a beta partner for CRM integrations, get in touch with your enrollment marketing strategist, and they'll be able to help get in touch with our tech team to figure out the timing for those types of opportunities. Simplifying the video setup and process and all these, and added Campus Connect enhancements. These are all things that are on our roadmap as well, as far as consideration for our next level of enhancements. So as you can see, a lot of things keeping our tech team busy. Use that chat tool that's in the platform to to submit your feedback and your suggestions, because that's how we grow and enhance the experience for students and for schools. So with that, thank you so much for joining us today. Drew, any parting words before we end the webcast?
No, I think you wrapped that up really nicely. Really appreciate everyone joining us, and excited to chat with you and on the phone and on the road.